some of the enemies are faster than the other. And once we kill all of them, we will have a new round start. Hey guys, and welcome back to another Big Rook Games tutorial. In this series we're going through and remaking Call of Duty Zombies in Unity 3D and providing all of the assets to you for free. And today we're going to be adding a few things. First, we're going to add a variable speed to the enemy movements, and we will also be adding our stage elements or our level elements. So after you kill all the enemies, a new stage will start and more enemies will spawn each time. And what you see here is the result of what we'll be going over in this tutorial. You can see some of the enemies are faster than the other, and once we kill all of them, we will have a new round start. So you can see the next round countdown, and after that countdown is finished, we will have a new round of zombies, and more zombies will spawn each round, and they will be harder to kill. And so this is how far we'll get through for this tutorial. So let's jump back to where we left off last time and get started. So we're back to where we left off last time, and this script is our game management script that we have here. And this is where we are going to add all of our elements for our rounds and keeping track of how many enemies spawn per round. So in here we're going to add two new variables. One is going to be the timer in between rounds, and then we need to add another integer to keep track of how many zombies are left so we know when to start the next round. So first let's add int zombies left in round. We're going to set that to 10 because that's what we start off with. And I'm going to add a timer down here, float countdown equals 0. And next I'm going to add a new function in our script that tells us what to do when we start a new round. So it will tell us how many enemies will spawn and reset all of the variables that we need. So here I'm just going to put voids start next round, and first we will set the zombies left in round and zombies in round, and at the beginning of the round this will be the same as we have up here. And each time we kill a zombie, we will subtract 1 from zombies left in round, and when that equals 0, we will start the next round. So in here, we are going to put zombies in round equals zombies left in round equals, and now we need to tell it how many zombies per round. And I am just going to put 10 zombies per round, and we will increase by 10 each round. So round times 10. Then we need to reset zombies spawned in round. Oh, that was weird. Zombies spawned, because this tells us when to stop spawning enemies in a round. We'll set that to 0. We will then assign our countdown to however many seconds you want to wait in between rounds. I'm going to set it at 15, and we will increment our round. So to see the countdown timer on the screen, we'll need to assign it in the onGUI statement. So in here I am going to put if countdown, which is our timer in between the rounds, does not equal 0, because when it's 0 we're probably in a round and we won't need to see the countdown timer. Then we are going to display the countdown timer on the screen. So in here I'm just going to copy and paste one of our other pieces of code which tells us how many zombies are left in the round. I am going to just change the variable that we see here. So here we will put next round, and in the second statement we will put mathf because we want the timer to be displayed as an integer, and our timer is a float. So mathf.round2int, and then countdown timer. And we need to change the location or else it'll overlap what we have right here. So I'm going to put screen, I want it to display right in the middle, so screen.width over 2, and offset that a little bit, let's say 25 or 50, and then screen, do the same thing here, over 2 plus 50, so it doesn't overlap. And then for the height, I'm going to put it right in the middle of the screen, and that should display somewhere in the middle of the screen. Right now we're not too worried about the GUI type stuff. We just want to make sure that the countdown timers are working, because when we go into our user interface tutorial, which will be coming up pretty soon, we will have custom images for everything, like the round, the health, and all of that stuff, so it looks better than just having text on the screen. So for now, this will do. That should be good for the GUI. We want to update the timer when the timer is counting down. So again, we're going to put if countdown timer does not equal 0. We are going to subtract time from it as a timer countdown. So countdown minus equals time dot delta time, which is the time in between the frames. Else I am going to put countdown equals 0. And actually above here we need to put countdown greater than 0, because if the time delta time subtracts more and it goes into a negative state, we want to reassign it to 0, so it's an exact 15 seconds every time we call this countdown timer. And now we need to tell it when to call the function that we just made, the start next round, which will be inside of the update function. This if statement up here says basically controls when we spawn zombies. So as long as zombies spawned in round is less than the zombies in round, it's gonna spawn. We know we don't need to start the next round when that's happening, so I'm going to put else if zombies left in round equals 0, which will tell us when we've killed all the enemies. Then I'm going to call the start next round. And when we start the next round, we set the countdown timer to 15. So we need to tell it not to spawn any zombies when the countdown timer is still counting down, or else we'll start spawning zombies while the countdown timer is still counting down. So up in this if statement, I'm going to put and countdown timer equals 0. So when the countdown timer ends, then we will start spawning. So now we need to subtract zombies left in round every time we kill an enemy. And because we want to access this variable, zombies left in round, from another script, it'll be easiest if we access it from the enemy controller script, and when we call the death function, then we will decrease the zombies left in round. So I'm going to make this a static int, so we can reference it just through game management. And static, we've used this before, but what this means is that this variable belongs to the class and not the instance. So when I want to access this variable, I can call the actual class and not an instance of the class, and it just makes things easier from outside of this class. Going to our enemy controller script inside of our death function, right before we destroy the object, I am going to tell it to decrease that number. So game management dot zombies left in round, and then we're going to subtract. You can put minus minus or minus equals 1, and it doesn't see this yet because we haven't compiled it yet, but that'll be fine. So if we save both scripts, we should have everything we need to handle multiple rounds and increasing enemies. Now we want to increase the health of the enemy every round, so I'm going to add a piece of code that will assign the health to our enemy based on what round we have. So I'm going to say health equals, I'm going to give it a base value of 20, and I'm going to add plus 10 times game.round. And game is our reference to the game management. And this is different because the round variable we have here is not a static, so we need an actual reference to that game management. And that's the difference between having a static variable where we can just call game management.zombies left in round, and a regular variable, a local variable that we have to reference. And that's why I did the two, so I could show you the difference between them. Now we have enemy health that will increase each time the round is incremented, and it'll get harder and harder for the player to kill enemies this way. And so next we are going to change the speed of our enemy, and I already have this here. I did this before, but here is where we will insert navigation speed of the enemy, because our nav mesh is the one that's controlling our movement of the enemy. We can access the speed variable, and I'm going to set it to 0.5f, and that's what we had before. And then I added a random range in between 0 and 3. So this will add a variance to the enemy speed, which a lot of you were requesting before. So that's a very easy thing to implement. Just put that piece of code in. And if you want them faster or slower, you can change the minimum and maximum here. But if they get too fast, then it can get a little messed up in the game because it'll hop through walls if it's going fast enough, and the collision detection doesn't detect when it's hitting that wall because it skips per frame. So you want to keep it reasonable, but for now I put 0 to 3 in addition to our base value of 0.5, and it's giving me an error here. GameManagement.zombies left and round is inaccessible due to its protection level. And that is probably because we didn't set it as a public static int. So if we change that to public and go and hit play on our scene, now it's playing. And so we can see if all of our implementations were done correctly. So now you can see that they do have variance on the speed. And let's see if the next round starts when we kill all of the enemies. And one other thing to note is I took the spawn point that was up here in that box and I put it on the ground because those zombies couldn't jump down. I think I put it in this building right here under the stairs. So I moved it down there so they would all spawn on the ground level. But let's get rid of all of these and see if our next round works. And I think for one of the next tutorials I'm going to add crawling zombies, so if you shoot them in the leg they'll fall down and crawl, but you can see the next round text is on the screen. We don't have enemies spawning yet. It will wait until 0 to spawn. And the next round started, and I added some text on the bottom middle of the screen. You can see how many zombies are left and how many have spawned. That's just kind of a self-check to make sure that everything is working correctly. So now we have our variable speed enemies, we have our round management, and in the next tutorial we are going to be adding gun placements on the walls and ways to buy weapons, buy more ammo, so when you run out you can reload. And following that we'll probably do the mystery box. So that's it for this tutorial, but thanks for watching. If this video helped you out, make sure to hit the like button, hit subscribe. You don't want to miss out the future videos. We do a couple of these a week, and we also give out free assets once in a while. So make sure to subscribe. If you have any questions on the tutorial or your game development or anything in general about Unity, feel free to ask in the comments. I'll try to get to all of your questions. And if you're new to Unity, I would suggest messing around with the things that we do in the tutorial. And if you have questions, the best place to go is unity3d.com and search in the answers section. They have an answers part, and they also have a forum. Both of those are great resources. So if you have any questions on any of the components, I use it all the time. I use it for any time I run into a problem. I go into the Unity help. There's always really good questions. The documentation is really good, and the forum people are really nice too. So any questions that you need answered right away, I would look there. But any other questions you have, throw them in the comments. I will get back to you as soon as I see them. I'll throw all the assets down in the description. That's it for this time, and thanks for watching. See you guys next time.